So Maurice and I started this business in the Netherlands, and we were looking where to apply this best. It was pretty obvious that we were going to the US. You need local partners to be successful. We've been searching for quite some time, and we were extremely lucky to meet Kat and Drew and Jamie to be the perfect match for us to start this endeavor.
What is the actual technology, Maurice?
It's an hydroponic system, but that says not so much because there are a lot of hydroponic systems. It's what I worked in for the last 20 years of my career. So it's based on a floating system that's existing for a while, but by some smart adaptations of technology, now you can grow almost unlimited amount of varieties on it. And you can even beat the quality that you normally can achieve when you grow in soil. It's a very balanced system, so it's not a lot of interaction and interference from humans. So it's quite natural way while growing in a closed loop system. It's been proven, it's been used all around the globe already for decades.
And a big advantage is also, Maurice, we're using about 10% of the water that you normally use if you go open field growing. So you save 90% on your water, which in some areas is also very important.
Or even more. It's completely circular, so you don't lose a drop. Only what the plants need for their growing and evaporation is what you give to the plant.
Almost zero wastewater, no processed water.
So it's completely technology driven while still with a lot of respect for nature.
Yeah.
Beating the current supply chain is not that hard because first of all, a grower has to seed 25% more than he's selling, because if something goes south by lack of rain or whatever, he needs to be able to supply. So the first 25% is thrown away in general anyhow. Then you have the supply chain. A lot of the produce over here is coming from California or Arizona in the winter, 3,000 miles. So you have another group of waste. Then in the retail, not everything is sold at the same time. So just by cutting out all those steps will give a saving without doing anything special. It's embedded in the way of how the shop concept works.
This is what we also see as a big challenge, to make the healthiest food possible and bring it fresh to the people.
I think we're excited to really finish our funding round and then move into actionable items. Our goal is 5 stores in 3 years. The pieces that make that happen are creating good connections with local farmers, finding the right sites.
I think from a B2B perspective too, we have a really hard time finding nutrient-rich products here on the East Coast. Not only is this going to solve a problem for communities and individual families, this is a B2B solution too, especially for people who want fresh, farm-to-table, transparent food.
And we spent quite some time actually with the team looking into sites, and I was pretty happy to see that there's so many sites already identified. The background of your team, Drew, is tremendously helping with that.
Yeah, hopefully we can get those first 5 built, understand which performs well in which markets and demographics, and roll to 50 and then 500. And we'll streamline the approach and build efficiencies along the way.
I think in a really encouraging way, every community we've talked to about having a local Dutch in it has been very excited about it. The development, when you talk to the community leaders, to the people in the neighborhoods, it's something they want to see. And I think that type of development truly has the impact, that we're looking to make, here in the region and beyond.
I think that's a really good point, Kat, because when we first started talking to people about this just a few months ago, the passion and the excitement that has been generated even around health systems and other large organizations that say, wait a minute, this is a problem that we're trying to fight as well, or we're trying to solve with our communities or our networks. So bringing us all together with a very unique, small scale, growing in a way that can have impact in such a major capacity is really unique and very impressive, the work that you guys have done.
So the technology behind it is relatively easy because that's done already for 100 years. It's about a new market where we do it on small scale and to do it over and over with the same design of technology.
It is a hard problem that people, hospital systems, communities, school districts, all are trying to solve. The concept that Maurice and Arnie have brought over to the US does solve it in a very sustainable way, not just sustainable in food, but also economically sustainable. It is a very valid business case, and I think that brings a lot of energy.
What I also think that is quite interesting, unique about it, is that everybody in this industry is scaling up to be more efficient while we are scaling down to be more efficient.
I was so excited to meet you guys because you were solving such a need of transparency and knowing where my products were coming from. But then taking a look at the P&L and looking at the business case of this, that's when I said, sign me up, because so many times we're in the world trying to solve community problems, and we think that has to be philanthropic. We're solving so many problems, but we're also doing it in a way that is sustainable economically. We're not going to be constantly looking for handouts. We have a model that stands on its own. And I think that's so important for people to understand that it is self-sustaining and very profitable.
And from an operational point of view, we took out a very challenging task, which is the climate management. So we replaced it with our software, with AI, and that means that basically someone with an entrepreneurial spirit, with access to the local community that can sell something, can also manage a local Dutch shop. And that stimulates the scalability enormously.
So the data and the technology, not only that we will be able to provide to other local Dutch facilities, but really to the community. As a whole, we are going to be able to provide data to our cities and states even that should help further promote what we're doing.
The Grow technology allows us to place stores in multitudes of communities, right? We can be in inner cities, we could be in more rural areas, wherever there's a need or a gap or a lack of funding options, we can locate a store there and it can be successful.
And we need under an acre of space, so we can find that space basically everywhere.
Serving over 1,000 families with fresh vegetables week after week after week, year round.
Maurice, about how many items can we grow a year inside of one of these stores?
Over 100. Probably the focus will be on, let's say, 2031 that everybody likes and everybody needs, but the options are unlimited.
So over 100 varieties and a total of 400,000 items per store?
Yes.
Okay. Per year. Local Dutch has a lot of opportunity in terms of just understanding food deserts and food insecurity too. To Drew's point, we can put one, in a redevelopment area. We don't need high value farmland in order to create a place where people can come get fresh, sustainable food. And that makes it accessible to a wide variety of communities. Because of the variety that's grown inside, that community and its traditions can get reflected in what's grown inside. It brings a lot of value back into communities that right now have really a lack of fresh local food. That's why I think, really the time is now. There's a lot of focus on food as medicine. There's a lot of focus on, understanding the transparency of your food. And then the technology that, you guys bring to the table makes that possible. And I think, that is very unique and exciting about where we are.
You can even see the product grow. So the product you're going to buy next week will be in the greenhouse when you start doing your purchasing from the shop. You cannot do it more transparent than this way.